At this time. Okay. Just seeing that. All right, welcome to the December 1st. And the final Conservation Commission meeting of 2025.
About that.
My goodness, where did the time go? All right. So we have a lot of stuff to go over today. So let's start with the roll call. We have a full house. We'll start with Michelle.
Michelle Fitzpatrick, Secretary.
Bray Rafferty, Vice Chair.
Ann Schmidt, member.
Larry Dunn, Chair.
Kristen DeSante, member.
Giselle Malloy, member.
Tom Olson, member.
All right, we're just rolling right along here. Approval of minute. Oh, we do not have minutes. No, we do.
We
have
do have minutes. We just don't have minutes to sign.
the sign. Okay. So is there a second?
Second.
Any discussions, discrepancies, things in that meeting? Okay. So approved without objection. The November 3rd, 2025 minutes. The next is public communications.
And we have no one in the gallery except for you, which I need to.
No one's in the gallery. Oh, did I get allowed to talk? There we go. Join as panelist. Yeah, okay. All right. So next would be the report of chair. So I got this stat for some reason.
Holy crap, Larry.
There's a lot of crap.
We're gonna be here till 7 just listening to your report, Chair.
I wasn't planning on it, but I have changed my mind. I may try and see if I can break a record. Oh. Okay, so on 11/11, Tom, Giselle and myself, we had a tree subcommittee meeting. And we'll go over the results of that later. Did attend the 2035 open house. And we're going to be talking about the 2035 document later. I did have an exchange with John Burt and legal staff on management of funds, where the funds goes, et cetera. We'll talk about that later. So that's in there. But I attended a Alliance for Mystic River session on the 19th, and there was a Fuss and O'Neill funded study on the upper Mystic River. Am I correct that the sustainability folks have access to that?
Nope, I haven't seen any of that yet.
Okay, I did. I mean, they submitted it, they got some funding, so there's a professional review, mainly on flooding and sustainability. So do I need to send you something, or is that?
If you have it, I mean, it's.
No, I have no study. I'm just saying.
Yeah, we don't have a study yet. I have not heard that this, I know we talked the last couple of months about waiting for the study to be released, and it hasn't been. I would suggest that whenever it comes in, whether it comes to me or it comes to you, if it comes to you, forward it to me. If I can get it through Submit or whatnot, I'll post it so everyone else can see it.
Okay, this was a review, like we've had.
Yeah, right.
The consultants come in and they talk.
Yes, yeah.
So it was a working session.
Okay.
So we did have that. The other thing is, and I wasn't planning on talking about it today, but I might, like I said, I don't change my mind, is for the Mystic River Basin, is I did put together an economic value model for the basin. Is about 40 miles of river that come in there. And just as a quick thing is that calculated that it's worth about 1.1 million a year in benefits, as calculated from that particular amount. So it's not the same model as what we've been using. We're going to get into that model later because I did do an update, and we'll talk about that later. So yes, I do have a lot of stuff. All right, I think that's everything that I was going to introduce. Let us go around to the report of commission. So since we started on the right.
Everything I did will be in discussion later.
Okay. Ray?
I Also attended the open house, Groton 235. And also with Tom and Giselle attended Kakiewicz meeting. Tom's presented his in our pamphlet. I went to some other talks, and one of them was about beavers and climate change. Since I'm familiar with the beaver issue at Pequot Woods, it was an interesting review of beaver ponds and a couple of things that came out of it. One was that beavers have the right to build their dams. We do not have the right to take them apart.
I did, the last few times I was there, I thought the beavers have kind of moved on. Are they back?
They've moved on,
Oh, okay.
but the question is, one of the things is that if a beaver were to come into nearby your property and build a dam, there's no permit needed for them to build it.
They don't need a permit?
But if you
Fine.
want to take it down because it's flooding your backyard, whatever, you need to go to
You need
inland
to-
wetlands and request a permit to take the beaver dam out.
Interesting.
The other is that out in the Midwest, in the West, beavers are being reintroduced into a lot of areas where they've been removed many, many years ago, taking small streams, damming them up. And one of the things I thought was neat was that they found it in the last few years when we've had these tremendous brush fires, that the pools, the backwater behind a dam has now become a retreat during the height, that if the fire burns through a particular area where a relatively new dam has taken place and flooded the landscape around it, that's actually a retreat for the animals in the highlands where the fire is burning. And they'll come down to that, and this is a place they can survive or get into the water and
That's really
survive
cool.
and let the fire blow around them over it. And so it's always, when the beavers do come in, it's always about flooding back behind the dam as whether or not that those are issues for local property owners. But it's nice to hear that people are very much promoting them to come back. It was felt that at one time, 400 years ago, before colonists came over here and took over all the land, that there was maybe one beaver family every 3 miles along any river system.
Wow, that's a lot of beavers.
And that's one of the reasons that beaver pelts were so,
I was gonna say, yeah, then they would.
so it became so important. Yeah. Another was there is a road culverts. There's an emphasis on this now going on with DEP. I guess working with the towns and identifying all the culverts, looking at their sizes, and trying to identify and make a database through DEP to the towns of what's considered as a culvert is less than 6 feet high in size. If you get up to 6 feet or greater for water to pass underneath, let's say a road, it's then it becomes a bridge and not necessarily a culvert. I don't know if that's the
Approximately. Yeah.
Approximately.
It's also a shape wise.
There's a width.
I'm not sure about the width.
Yeah, there's different definitions for, I actually just got done with the culvert training a couple weeks ago, or a week and a half ago. So there's different definitions for it about how it's supported and whatnot. So there's lots of different definitions for it. So in terms of bridges, versus,
Okay.
bridges have abutments,
Right.
culverts don't, culverts can be multiple. So there's a lot to it.
Okay.
Then I also went to a volunteer water monitoring program. It's something that I've been involved with at work over the years, just to see what they're doing now. And a big part of the water monitoring is looking at temperature changes in the water, particularly from April through October. And most of it is the efforts are being done inland. Not so much in our area, but other watersheds across the state that they don't know that much about, but they're trying to look at the resiliency of streams, trying to control the temperature influence with it. Tree cover along the edge of the river, how that may help or not. And they were talking about their volunteer program, that they have places that they're looking for more volunteers to help support taking the samplings, as well as some new areas that haven't had volunteers, but there's not much of that is going on at that type of level here. And most of it is from shore. Occasionally there are places where they want you to go out in your kayak and take some measurements offshore. But not so much here. That's what I have.
Okay. On November 8th, I attended the SALT conference at Conn College. This year's conference the title of it was the Resilient Landscape Gardening for Extreme Weather. And what I'll do is just send a short summary to Dave. I also attended a Zoom meeting on the Connecticut Green Amendment, environmental rights amendment that did not pass in last year's legislature. And so they had a strategy session on how to move forward with it this year. And I'll be keeping an eye on that. I was registered to go to the Circa climate event at Avery Point, but I couldn't make it. The good news is they have their own website now with the recording of the meeting, and I'll send that to Dave too. It's a really comprehensive, all the presentations are there, everything. And then I also went and attended the POCD, or the Groton 23rd-35 event.
That's getting good. Getting good.
Oh, let's see. Well, spent the first half of the month moving my daughter in St. Paul. The second half, then I had surgery, and so the second half of the month recovering, still recovering. But I was Jessie Stratton, who's a former legislator who's on GCA, contacted me. She was reached out to by Denise Merrill, who was a former Secretary of State for Connecticut. Anyway, they want to plant oaks all in all the towns and communities around to commemorate the 250th of the. It's not bison. It's how do you call it?
250 year, I don't know.
But there's probably some sesquicentennial.
Yeah, it's like a
Millennial,
Yes,
quadrillennial.
I know the bicentennial was, anyway, for the 250-year anniversary. So they're seeking funding from the towns and looking for like approximately $100 per town. I'm like, done. Like, we'll definitely back you up, write a letter, give you money, whatever you need. And if we don't have it, like, we have it. You know what I mean? So I was like, yeah, that sounds great.
We can sell candy bars.
What? You need 100. Okay. And then also maybe they would want somebody to babysit the tree after the tree is planted. I met with Jason briefly. There was an official meeting, but only he and the high school kids were there.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Could make.
but anyway, the thing is set for April 25th. The volunteers of adults is a little skimpy because I think everyone like put energy into it and they're like, oh, okay, they know what they're doing now. So, but they've already started making their spreadsheets. They've already got vendors coming back. They're excited about the kids. I hope this isn't on the agenda because anyway, that's outreach, whatever. We'll get it done now.
Earth Day is on the agenda.
Okay, well, I talked to him about the projects and I thought it'd be nice to get input from the kids, like what they want to do for projects, but they're hoping to speed it all up. Anyway,
Kids, you mean our students, as opposed to the
Students.
high school kids that were there, because you said kids,
the
but
students, the
this
Conn
Conn
College.
College, okay.
And also there was a Yukon person who thought they wanted to get involved too. But anyway, also GCA met. I wasn't able to go, but they've had a lot of concern about the change in the language for appointments to commissions and councils. It's changed. It was, yeah, but they want to have it rescinded. They want the new council, when seated, to rescind it. The changes from most qualified to most suitable. Most suitable might be the most amenable,
Yeah.
the most pliable, the most, you
And what
know.
was actually approved was a combination of best fit and most qualified. They put the and or in there, and or.
Yeah, yeah. They just felt that was a slippery slope to getting a rubber stamping commission. So anyway, that's all I have. Thank you.
On the new redoing of the found in Noank, I noticed just the other day in the finishing touches, they put in like 5 or 6 rain gardens. Was that the state doing
The
that?
state did all stuff on, as is a BB code.
Yeah, BB code.
And the state, that was all part of their master plan because both the local, Groton Open Space, Apollonia, and Mr. Watson, who's the abutting neighbor, all requested that from the state and, during the planning process, because they had a big meeting. Down, I was actually at that for, when they were planning this 3 years ago.
Okay.
And how much-
It was
rework-
impressive. I mean, it was I mean, yeah, there's an island and an
Seeing
island.
what they tore up.
Yeah.
Also, put that in perspective, those that have started all those pollinator gardens before.
Ah, okay.
There, so that's what.
Looked a little ratty before, but anyway.
I'm not saying that.
Hey, that's the style. You have to understand, you have to embrace it.
Okay, I'll just
They
say,
do.
anyway, I thought it was noticeable anyway.
Um, so on November 11th, myself, Tom and Larry, we all met up real quick and we discussed a little bit about our tree action plan. We can discuss that later. On the 16th, I also attended the Khaki Wit conference. It was very informative and I did enjoy it. I went to 3 talks. One was with the beaver and climate change. I thought that was very interesting. The second one was a PhD student, or she already got her doctorates, but she was doing her discussion on riparian tree canopy density as a key indicator of water quality, fostering informed wetland management in CT towns and watersheds. She is currently in Kentucky. So a lot of us were kind of like, are you going to continue doing the project here? Because it was a very informative topic, and she plans on releasing, hopefully getting it published very soon. I have her information, so I want to dive a little bit deeper into it once it's released. We can go into that later. I thought her whole project was absolutely fantastic. And then in another one I went to was the updates on approaches to protections of riparian areas, and the presenters there were Alicia Sharmett. I'm gonna butcher these names. Mark Brancy, he's an environmental lawyer, Janet Brooks, and a retired judge, Marshall Berger Jr. They were all there. It was kind of just an open discussion forum. Like, what can we do better with our riparian laws? And apparently CT doesn't have a law specifically focused on riparian protection, so it's been a huge discussion and they want to just get all of our inputs. A lot of people it was a group consensus that they need clarity and unambiguous statutory authority for protections for natural vegetations in riparian
Well,
areas.
it's in the zoning regs, right? Is it 100?
Well,
That's a review.
yeah, that's upland review area for wetlands.
Okay.
I thought in SB 9 that was passed last year, there was a riparian buffer section. No?
No, that, because I was at that was a 2-parter, I was at part 1 of that, they discussed that a little bit. They said that riparian buffers and stuff, it was discussed in there, but there's really that's not what they're looking for.
Okay.
As far as what you can do, what you can't do, and it really getting rid of development in those areas. It's still not what they're looking for.
Yeah, so it was definitely a bunch of towns just like we need more rules on this information. They did ask if anyone has photos of buffer restorations or projects related to it to send anything to cga.ct.gov. They are also these people, the presenters that we're discussing, they are introducing a topic of creating a multi-town commission. So a whole bunch of towns coming together and they can just discuss as what they can do better as a state. And then CT Deep was there and they did, it was now onto a little bit different. They gave me a couple informations to pass along. Some of you guys may know already, but they are updating their website. I believe it's going live January 1st. It's a whole new it's a whole new website and will be easily accessible for everyone. CT Deep will be having a online form for wetland inland reportings coming out as well. Instead of sending anything to either mail or email, I guess in 2026, the paper form will no longer be accepted. And they are looking to change their regulations on wetlands and inlands, and that we should be expecting to see things starting in 2026. And then they gave me this. They pass it around and they asked if I can give it to my town and they can just hang it up somewhere on there, zoning and planning. And then I also sent the, today, that was my bad. It's been a pretty busy month. I'm following up on that letter that I wanted to send to CTD on regulating tree wardens to get more education. I sent that letter out. Tom did a good point on sending something to the state regulations. I didn't do that yet, but I do wanna, I wanna talk a little bit more about that. Yeah, that's all I did. Thank you.
Okay, I also kind of get you with, the two items I had, additional items that are, I was identified on page 9 of our packet here. I really have to give credit to Deep for really pushing the envelope on some of this GIS monitoring, this CREST tool that they have. Allows you to take a look at a lot of layers all simultaneously now, which you really haven't been able to do in the past. And then take that and to be able to identify, these are really your prime areas that from a conservation perspective. And then likewise, the wildlife action plan folks went off and developed on the wildlife action plan and this cpactions.org website that's really taking a look at how, what from a habitat perspective, what areas do you want to conserve in your town also. That one is not online just yet. If you needed something in advance, such as the POCD guys or the for project for 2035 here, could research and could ask for it. They'll develop it for your for a specific town. There's follow-on actions that we can provide on a long-term basis. And I provide all that information in my report there. Other things that I've got going on here, I did also attend the project 2035 workshop, as well as I did one of the missing in the middle walk around files of the Clinic Bridge. And then tomorrow, excuse me, on Wednesday is the BACWAC meeting, and I had this agenda item is out right now, and the principal going to be talking about the water sampling that's being done in Baker's Cove. And so I'm not going to be able to attend it. It looks like right now I've got tied up with a Navy thing. But I could, if anybody's interested, let me know and I'll give you the link to forward that to you. Listen in top, but that's the primary objective of those people. Taking a look at getting a report as far as this past year's water sampling results for Baker's Cove.
So I assume they'll publish that someplace, right?
I don't know. That's really, I'll tell you right now. Things are really up in the air as far as on how they're maintaining knowledge-based transfer and stuff as far as on Baker's Cove. They're kind of relying to some degree, because a lot of this there's been so much churn in the ECCD office of who's responsible for caretaking this project, because this Mora has been doing it for the last 7 or 8 years. She tried to get out of it. They brought in a person, that person did it for like a couple of months, quit or whatever, brought somebody, Mora takes over again, they pass it over to somebody else, so she gets reassigned. Mora's got it again right now, and is trying to offload it on somebody else. And so I just being brutally honest that the documentation and that type of stuff, and who's doing what on the work plan, who's responsible for you know, if he's calling the meetings, they know it's an ACD responsibility, but as far as, you know, what's happening, it's kind of up in the air, personal opinion. So we'll see how things pan out here, and to be honest with you, I missed the last 2 meetings now because of my other responsibilities with the Navy. So, I'm probably not the, you know, I got him sucked in. To do all the cleanup stuff and have to really get out of it. So we'll see how things pan out there.
All right.
And then, the last item I have is the PA 490 and the overlay, discussion that we'll talk about that under, the next item.
I was gonna say it's the next item. I was waiting for that, to the discussions.
So,
Yeah.
I draw everybody's attention to page 13 of our packet here. What I did, was take a look at our back in last month, we talked about, you know, PA 490 and taking a look at from a long-term vision, say, that's really the land that we should be considering as far as, you know, getting better protections for it, okay? It's being protected right now by the town by allowing these folks that are owners to have a reduced tax assessment valuation of their property. So we are giving up, as a town, giving up money that we could be charging people for developable land by putting it into this program. And that's authorized by the state and accepted by the town. And so these people are benefiting from it, but it's really not protection on that. It's because they can turn around and just sell it.
Then they
Okay.
should have to repair, they should have to.
But
pay
they have that, we have that clawback for 10 years, but after 10 years, there's nothing.
There's nothing.
So what should we be doing? And so I've been thinking about this, like, you know, we put a couple of things in your best practices and land values. I put this policy, a management item in here, so you can kind of take a look at what's been done in the past and the classifications and all this type of stuff, how the program actually works, which I thought was pretty helpful. Item for reference purposes. Some towns actually have gone off and put, you know, and taken a look at the open space and doing other things, other options out there. In our case, we put that you have 3 options within the PA 490 program. There's forestry program, there's an agricultural program, and then there's an open space program. We have approved people for the forestry program and for the agricultural program, okay? But we have never established what the open space, because that has to be done at the local level, as far as you have to put sometimes things together. And we've never been challenged or offered or anything. You go to other communities in the state, and they've actually put an ordinance or guidelines out, some kind of rules as far as on what's acceptable to put property into the PA 490 program as open space, okay? To be really honest with you, we haven't done it because there hasn't been a demand, because we don't really have enough adequate parcels that are coming. Now, Ray may be able to give you a history on this.
I'll only give you historic doesn't resolve the issue.
Yeah.
But the Conservation Commission had this conversation with the town tax assessor a number of years ago. And we started looking into, are there problems with other communities that already had the open space capability to take tax abatements for that? And the communities we were hearing back from who had it were pulling their hair out. Because if you have a 2-acre parcel of land and you just have your house, your garage, let's say, you can take maybe 1.5 acres and put it under 490. Or they were going down to almost a 1/4 acre or an eighth of an
Yeah,
acre.
just one town that have a 1/4 acre minimum.
Oh, yeah, I thought there's a 25-acre minimum.
No,
No.
not under open
Open
space.
Okay.
Under
Because it's
open space,
established by the individual.
unlike,
towns.
well, it's like farming doesn't have a acreage designation like forest does, and open space does not either. So in open space, it's whatever
Whatever the town said.
whatever, right. And the tax assessor then now is pulling out their hair because a quarter of an acre. Now, are you mowing this? Is it, what's happening to this? And then the next person over and next person over, and it becomes, wow. The
Yeah.
guardrails weren't well defined at that time.
Right, but again, it's also individual towns,
Right,
well-intentioned, you don't know what the consequences are.
right. So consequently, that was the put forth this is the experience of people who had it and wanted to do away with it for the following reasons. And at that point, it was dropped. We didn't pursue it any further as trying to be an element of protection for in the town of Groton.
Well, yeah, and it's really, I would say, PA 49 doesn't give you any real protection, it keeps,
Well,
it's an incentive to keep,
yes.
not to develop, parcels.
Right,
So it's an incentive as opposed to a protection.
right.
So at any rate, I kind of put all that together, I put a little presentation together here for our considerations as far as on what's PA 490, and what we have here on page 30, on page 37. And then going on to how much do we really have? Well, we have 99 parcels that are in the PA 490 program, and of which which makes up 2,255 acres, which is it's not chump change in the big picture. And that includes both the 230 acres that were on the 10 mil program. And then then we also have some acreage that that we have easements on it. Some of this property we have easements on it. About 113 acres has easements attached to it. And then COG considers PA 490 and some of the PA 490 as open space. In their calculations, primarily focusing on the working farm areas, the agriculture ones. But we do have some of these PA 490 is up for sale too. We've got a couple of these, the Burroughs Farm and then this Birch Plain Creek, which are both agricultural ones that are up for sale. So, and I took a look at what's in the zoning regulations as far as the green districts, for GR, GC, for recreation, conservation. I included those, for reference purposes in the definitions, pages 40, 41. And then I took a look at taking a look on a go forward basis in the current POCD from 2016. There was a map that said these are the desired open space areas, and there was a list, and it actually boiled down to about 13 parcels that were highlighted on here, but no names were assigned to it, but you could figure it out, and we included that information in the open space conservation plan. So then I said, take a look at this. If we're deciding, and I kind of came up with the idea that says, hey, if we're looking at this on a go forward basis, and these are really the ideal areas that we want to preserve to keep them as PA 490 or open space in the future, okay, that should really be the areas that we desire to be open space in the future. Saying, well, should we basically look at establishment under the zoning, a special district overlay? Okay, we already have some other coastal management overlays, historical overlays, open space subdivision overlays, and water resource protection zones. Could we come up with a special district here that would take a look at different things and focus in on what should be the open space overlay for the town? That would then include all our protected and preserved, include all our areas that are over the 10-year limit on that for PA 490. Also identify all our easements, the 200 acres of easements, which is about 80 additional properties and stuff. And then if there's something else within town-owned parcels that we would like to see saved, such as like maybe the stuff along industrial drive, or over, by, the 16 acres on South Road that we've discussed in the past, that we made a recommendation to the town council, they didn't want to take it up as far as to putting some kind of reservation on that, but we could consider putting that in. And so I went to NOAA and said, hey, can you give me a map with those considerations? Because and I tagged each one of those in the, in our database, our inventory. And so he said, yeah, I can do that, but I got a lot of other stuff on my plate.
This is the conservation.
And so I said, gee, I'd still like to get it, and I'm still waiting here 3 weeks later, so.
All right, well, don't we have PA 490s?
We have a PA 490,
Right.
so I say the information is already, he has all the information, it was just a matter of him pushing the buttons the right way to generate me a map, to see what that would look like. Right,
But we could already.
I cannot put the map,
Okay,
uh,
so it's clarification of the information we have.
so that's what I was looking at, consideration, maybe, in looking at on a go forward basis as part of project 2035, that says, rather than having a wish list of, this would be our wish list, essentially, give me an open space overlay in the zoning that says, this is all the areas, and these are the criterias that I just walked through, and make that, and that's when I put the draft change to the ordinance here as a new section 6.5. To put these 4 or 5 categories in here,
I have a question. At the end of 10 years,
yes.
can the town say, we're gonna start charging you taxes unless you sign up for another 10 years?
No,
No,
it doesn't work that way. The way the state, we have to follow the state legislation. And the legislation says that you have a 10-year clawback area, but after that, there's no.
no, for instance, if you have farmland and you're actually farming it, and all of a sudden we throw taxes on top of it, after 10 years, thank you very much. Do I want to continue farming here or go elsewhere?
Just to clarify though, so does that mean if I own farmland for 11 years, so for 10 years, so after 11 years, I can.
You're still
sell it?
getting that, you're still getting, yeah.
So you get the abatement, but then
There's
once
There's no penalty.
yeah, so what's the point? I mean,
Well,
I mean,
the
it's-
point is
I
the
get
town
the-
is incentivizing you
Yeah.
to keep it because
Yeah.
of this. And now we're incentivizing you even more that you don't have to pay anything back. We want you to keep it in this form.
Right.
And so you go to different people around the town, some of these non-developer people that, but it's still, when they leave the area, die, move out, whatever, that's where it gets questionable.
yeah, the land comes up.
Yeah, comes up for sale. That's Burroughs, we've talked about Burroughs here, of course, probably a very good example of that. He's actually come to the town and says, please buy my property because I'd like you guys to have it first dibs on it, okay? He's a well-intentioned PA 490 guy, had cows and horses out there on Route 1 and stuff. And now he's going to down development route.
Because the town couldn't cough up the money.
Couldn't
right?
cough up the money.
But you have to be willing to sell it for below market rate. That's the thing.
Yeah, right.
It's, it's a shame.
Well, we have no idea what what he was offering to the town.
Yeah.
I
We don't know where
what
that
was-
discussion
details. I
ever
know,
went.
we did see a memorandum come around that says, what's your opinion?
Yeah,
But that's the situation you're basically getting. He had it over more than 10. I mean, every one of the PA 490s is greater than 10 years at
Yeah,
this point.
yeah.
So, and I don't know of anybody really submitting a new one. Now, I've never gone back and asked the assessor to go back and, I look at like Ackley, it's in farming, but are they really farming it? Not really, okay? So why should they still be getting it? Okay, but the flip side of it is,
It's open.
do I want to
Encourage
open
him
that
to sell,
door
yeah.
and so,
Yeah. So at the end of the day, do you have a recommendation?
Well, no, my end of the day recommendation is this draft zoning change, to forward that on to the, and that's what I basically have. I kind of put everything together here, what an open space overlay would look like, and then we transition and then put this into as a request as part of the PA, as far as rather than a desired list, is that we would say, this is our desired list is to change the
Well,
zoning change.
given what we've just heard, is that you gotta be real careful about what the
Well, I said, this just identifies the areas of, there's nothing new here, okay, other than putting it all in one place. And this would, to some degree, almost give us the new inventory with, under the new, the guidelines for our new inventory under the new P O C D.
Well, can't we do that anyway? We don't need a,
I'm just
Ordinance
saying,
to
if you
do.
wanna, how formalized you wanna be, that's for the discussion. And we don't have to discuss anything tonight, I'm not making a motion here, I'm just, I was asked to come back, take a look at this, think about it. And I would definitely, cogitate over it a little bit, and we can come up with, I don't know, way forward, but I think this overlay idea would be good to present to the 2035 people for sure.
okay, well, I
It
think,
doesn't, whether or not it's a zoning change or not.
right, I would say we do that anyway.
Yeah, we could, turn this into, our inventory.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. The other thing is that once a year, we're obligated to present to the town council
Yeah.
status of open space. So I was gonna get to that a little later, but it seems to me that this is a topic we can include in that report's the wrong, but status with recommendations, et cetera. Versus trying to do something unique and separate. So I would think that we could still get it to the consultant in terms of what it is, because it's data that of interest. And we consider, because I'm gonna later talk about working toward, we usually do it in the summer, like June.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, July.
Yeah, June, July. So really to say is what are the topics that we want to emphasize in June, is kind of.
Well, my concern is waiting that long. I was looking at trying to, they're drafting up all these recommendations and stuff in the next weeks here. Did they
Yeah,
say they
basically.
want- What?
No.
Yeah, basically.
No, I said that we can get them the data because it's inventory
Yeah.
data that we could get it to them. So I'm fine with that. I don't think we even need a vote on that
And then
because it's data is data.
Planning and zoning will actually be the ones that are reviewing. If they want to throw this out, they can too at that point. If it
Well,
doesn't
yes.
cut with the consultants. That's the only reason I was kind of going down this path. It kind of puts it on there. If they want to see the action and whatever, let's see how that falls out. If it gets, because if we feel very strongly about it after our reviews and thoughts process and it gets thrown out of the P O C D process. Okay, we can resurrect it in July, because the P O C D is gonna be approved by then.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure I feel strongly about it.
I'm not so clear. I just say, I think this is for our input as far as what do we want to preserve? Or protect or have as open space. To make up that map, desired open space, I think this is the way to go.
Just imagine something like Whittles
Right.
gets sold to a developer.
Yeah.
And so now it's called Whittles Orchards, but it's 40 blocks of
Well, the
housing.
town,
like,
the town does have a conservation easement on 133 acres of that, just for information, so.
That would be sad. That would be awful.
Or
It'd be
6
tragic.
133, excuse me. So they have half of it. We're prevented, they only can do, it's half of it.
We have
Yeah, all
town,
these big-
we have it, it's where the horse impoundment area,
Yeah, on the back, on the.
backside.
Yeah, on the backside.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
All right, so to close this out. I'm certainly supportive of providing the data in the categories we've had because it's already there and it's of interest. And then let's see if there's any recommendations that come from the consultants on the darn thing.
Yeah, I would, whatever you do, I would put it as part of your comments for what's there right now. I wouldn't make it something separate at this point. I would put it.
Yes,
as part
put
of
it
your
in with the
comments.
comments. Okay.
Because like, depending upon how far, if it goes in the P O C, that's one thing, but if it doesn't, I mean, you're talking about a pretty major zoning text amendment, so that would be something that the commission would have to take on. If planning and zoning doesn't want to take that on, that would be something that you all would have to go through the whole process. You'd have to, in the case of PA 490, because this is very different than even like a public hearing, you probably would have to go out and notify every program in the PA 490 and talk about what the change could potentially be if they had any comments for that. So it's a little more. It could be a little
More
more
involved.
complicated,
Yeah,
for that.
I got it.
But I would suggest you put it.
But look, let's start simple.
Start there.
All right. and we'll get the comments that is on the agenda, yeah. Other things, Don?
I mean, the other thing too, I should suggest, because I think Bray was bringing it up and maybe to think about this too, is do you have an assessment of what the savings are for those 2,200 acres? If they weren't in the, just in terms of comparing, you know, normal taxes, PA 490. What's the difference in cost between the two? And I don't know if any of us know what that number is.
The assessor because of the volume of them, it's a massive calculation to go do. And I can tell you right now, the assessor has told me she's limited resources to be able to go do things.
All right.
Could it be, but the data is readily available because the valuations of the properties are still, they're still assessing these at their full value. And this gets the assessment, the valuation versus the assessment, and the assessments get automatically downgraded to the acreage numbers that I showed you that are in the presentation, you know, so basically $130 an acre instead of the $70,000 in some cases. Okay, I mean, there's significant deltas there that the town is incentivizing these people to keep it in their, you know, the way it is.
I would think that would be something that if we were that would have to be worked on.
Yeah, I agree.
But I'm not
If
saying,
you went down that-
none of this proposal is taking 490 away from anyone.
No,
It's just identifying those areas to increase their awareness as far as on a go forward basis when things come up. For the, this parcel is in the overlay area. And so we want to be able to see a review about that if you're gonna do anything differently in these rezoning or whatever. That's all I'm basically saying is that, what would we be doing with this, the recommendations?
I think one of the challenges, if you're gonna rezone it as something other than,
No, we're not rezoning. All we're saying is we're taking the current, putting an overlay onto these areas so that we can.
So it becomes a flag, so when it comes up or something, it's basically a
A
flag.
display of what exists is not a change in zoning.
Okay.
It's just reflecting today's reality.
well, you're saying that you would have a chance to comment on that though. So I'm
Well,
not sure.
is when, if they're in the, as with the other overlay zones, when the person is in the, you have these other overlay zones that the town has. There we have, it forces to things to, when you're in the coastal area management overlay.
That's anything within 1,000 feet of the coast.
Right, okay, so there's things that happen after that, there's extra reviews that have to be done.
Yeah, just because.
And I'm saying is, if it's an open space review, you'd like to see the conservation commission. Be able to comment on that.
Okay, I'm
We
definitely.
do that, like for inland wetlands, we comment on those, come in, okay?
I want.
And on the open space subdivision overlays, we get those, we've seen those come to us. We get a comment, that's all I'm saying is for this other open space land. Overlay, we'd be able to comment on. If it comes up, if a permit comes in that on a parcel that's in that overlay area.
But that might persuade someone not to go into the PA 490 program in the first place. So it could work against you if all of a sudden if they know that there's a higher.
We
level-
haven't seen any change.
I know we don't. Again, I play devil's advocate here, looking at it both ways. You know what I mean? So like I'm just. And I know we're far away from this. We're just at the.
This is only for stuff that's been in the program for over 10 years. It's not, your first 10 years of exposure is still unchanged. They're not even putting it in there. It's not until after you've been in the program 10 years, then you'd go into the overlay.
Okay.
All right, so it doesn't appear to be a critical time sensitive item, number one.
The only criticality is getting something to the.
I'm saying the recommendation of putting it in our comments back. I think we should do that in terms of the overlay identification and the fact that it's in our GI, it's in the database.
Yeah.
Right, and they can extract it, or, I mean, right, you could download the data file and they could do extraction if they so desire. So I would say let's do that, and we can talk about that. We can add that to our comments list when we get to that agenda. Meanwhile, as we work through this next few months, can see if we want to float it, I guess would be the appropriate term, to the town council. I mean, number one, they just got elected. They don't go into till January. So, this isn't that, the reason I'm saying is June or July is because the first few months, whatever they're we're not gonna get their attention.
I don't see any town council actions in Berlin.
No, I don't either. That's my point. So,
I wasn't even thinking about it. Yeah.
okay, all right. Okay. Can we move on?
Yeah, that's all my, and the presentation was gonna be
Okay,
incorporated into the next future discussion there.
okay. The next bunch of pages,
Quite an agenda packet, gentlemen.
gentle person.
It was
Yeah.
challenging to put this one together.
That's all right. We're moving.
Like I really gave it a good effort, but at some
We're,
point.
well, some of this stuff has been around for a while. So meanwhile, the only thing that I don't intend to going through the presentation, because to me, that's something that, again, I would put into our normal update to the town council. I'm just saying I'm got ahead a little bit. What I would say is to introduce them, to the fact, to remind them of the fact that we do have, a model that has been used in the past for evaluation of properties and input.
Your model.
Yeah, meanwhile, I went around and saying, because it was 2020, time flies.
Mm.
So I said, is there changes? Well, some of the same people and sources, they updated their data, right? And that's all this reflects. So not to, unless someone's super interested, the Appendix E is the summary of changes. I then went and updated the base document and sprinkled those into the base document. And I updated the actual Excel spreadsheet, which is model. So my thought would be anybody have any questions? Number one.
Well, the question I have is, the question is really to the staff, is we put in the open space conservation plan, we outlined the whole thing and put a summary to what it is in the conservation plan. It said, if you need the details, go talk to the staff. Has the staff received any interest from anybody? Ever?
No, I did get the Freedom of Information Act request for the model.
Okay.
All right, so I did get.
There's one
It
person.
is. No, I wasn't, first of all, we don't publish the model on the website. We do have a user manual.
Right.
These updates are in the user manual.
Was this the college that wanted that? Who?
He is since deceased.
Oh, no. Okay, well, that's-
You killed him.
So anyway, oh yeah, that was, drove him nuts. So the point, I guess the point is, it actually looked a little better for open space, the net of this whole thing.
That was my question. Does it make any difference?
Yeah, well, no, I would say it doesn't make a significant difference, but it does make a more positive view of it.
Well,
not
it
huge.
strengthens what our already
Yes.
position is.
Right, which is the whole point. So, for example, it has in there, you're talking about the riparian areas. There is models in there, in the riparian areas and the carbon sequestration associated, yada, 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 yada. So a lot of stuff is in there based upon other people's studies. So if whichever comes up with a study, then I could look and see, does it, how does it impact what you've got? So I'm looking for A, if there are any questions, B, approval, I guess a motion and approval to have me update and replace the old economic model user manual with the new economic user manual. Again, the spreadsheet is not out there.
And I would, is it fair to portray this as these are technical changes that would not require the open, because this is the open space conservation plan. And we feel these are such of a minor technical nature that they would not require going back to the town council for.
No, yes, all it is adjusting the metrics and the values, it doesn't change the fundamentals of anything that we presented. Now,
In
I
that
would,
case, we did that ourselves and
yeah, they never went in every,
Yeah.
so. But it would be something that I would consider, again, in our yearly update, saying, hey, we've updated it, yada, 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 information.
I don't know if you need a motion for it. It's up to you if you want a motion, but I would say that as you're thinking forward for changes for the conservation plan, so where it mentions the model, after the model, put a comma and put as amended. So that you never have to worry about the question of whether or not it needs to go back, because basically more new information is gonna come out for that model, and it shouldn't, that's not major enough
Right.
to cause you to.
Yeah, I would not go back. I was not contemplating going back for an update for the open space plan unless, as a result of 2035 stuff, we look at what came out and then we might look, do we want to do a refresh
You could do, yeah, if you
Based
want to do a
upon-
refresh basis.
based upon what came out of the 2035 project? Because I think we should be aligned, right?
But I don't know I mean. I personally don't think you need a motion for that, because you're putting in new information but if you would like a motion, I'm happy
I
to
take that.
take that too.
I would recommend to some degree that, this is great work, but because we think there's gonna be significant changes relative to the P O C D. That if we were to reissue the open space conservation plan to reflect the updated 2030 P O C D, we're really gonna need to do something at that. Incorporate these changes with that.
Okay, well, two things. They're two separate things.
Yeah.
I agree with you on the open space plan, that we let that sit, wait and look at it, decide, do we want to do a refresh as a result of POCD? Meanwhile, I would say just to keep things current, I want to go and do an update to the user manual, which is referenced only. Yeah, I mean, yes, you're right. There would have to be some change, but there's nothing fundamental because it's summary information in the plan. It doesn't have a lot of the details that the user manual have, which is another freaking 30 pages. Right. So, I'll do it this way. If there's no objections, it's basically me sending to IT, rip out the other one, put in the new one, it's amended as of 2025.
Got it.
Okay. All right, so I will do that. Update. IT, user model.
We do the same thing too with zoning regs, with everything, so we basically, for the most part, so. The version of the conservation plan that the consultant has looked at, the PCC has looked at as part of that is the 2024 amended version, but oftentimes we'll just put as amended there, and that really covers you for that.
Covered
Because-
for the future.
Yeah, and
right?
because we get that all the time with state stuff, they'll update one thing, and rather than saying, well, the 2015, the 2015 just got updated in 2018, oh, it just got updated in 2021, so we just put as amended and that kind of.
No, that's fair. We'll do that as part of an update. So my only thing is that I did throw in there a potential presentation at some point in the future. Anybody want to have any comments on that? Just get them back to me as an email. That's the Open Space Economic Value Model 2025 update presentation. Okay, or the appendix or anything. All right, next.
Did you want to talk about the Mystic model that
No.
you did? Not at all. You
No,
should- yeah,
that was information. It's not. There are some unique differences because of the fact that because we focused on open space, we didn't focus on rivers. So it's almost an extra part. But quite frankly, I don't see the need to put another section in the model specifically for the river stuff.
Okay.
I can work with the Mystic River Alliance folks if they want something, it's there. But, next is, okay, cross that out. Groton 2035. So what we want to do today is what comments do we want to give to the consultants, or I guess the staff to give to the consultants? There was, I reviewed the draft sections. Tom reviewed the draft sections. We combined our comments into what was on the agenda website, right?
Page 98, 99.
Okay. So my question would be twofold. One, is there any of those comments that somebody disagrees with or have a discussion on? And B, is there additional comments that you would like to add as commentary back through staff? Let me get done. Boy, there's a lot of stuff here. Hold on, let me get.
You just noticed?
Well, he did the whole new thinking, and I didn't intend for him to put out the whole user manual again, but
Well, at least it's documented, so.
yeah. I'm still going through this. Page 80, where frick does it end?
Except 98, right?
98.
98, 4, 5, 6, 7, 90.
My only comment here is once you get there.
Hey, there we go. I'm there.
I did not incorporate any of the PA 490 discussion from earlier in here, so do you want me to?
Well, yeah, that was one thing that we talked about earlier. So that would be one thing to add as a result of our earlier conversations. Yes, update this list and add in a PA 490 section comment. I guess a comment and pointers to where the data can be found.
Yeah, so what I would suggest in terms of this whole thing, whenever you get all the comments on stuff, is to put together a memo, right?
Yep.
Addressed to the chair of Planning and Zoning Commission, send it to me. We'll forward it on to them as the next agenda packet, whenever it gets there. There's one meeting next week, but I'm not saying it needs to be there before that. It could come in January.
No, our objective was we get it there by January.
Right, exactly. So
that was my thought, is to put all this stuff together in a letter.
And then if there's anything in PA 490 you want to add as part of that, we can add that as attachments.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to go around and ask for questions on what's there, or comment or additional comments that weren't there.
I'm actually kind of impressed with what's in here. I think they really did a really good job of putting stuff together. I still, looking through it, there's like conservation, different places, and I mean, I don't know if it's
separated different than last time.
right, and I'm
Yeah.
not 100% sure I follow the separation and whether it makes sense to me, or I don't know. So
In the conservation and
Well, no, I think it's just, if are you talking about the different, a place where we thrive, a place where we live like that?
yeah, so you have to really hunt down the conservation pieces.
section 2,
Which I get.
hit most of it.
Well,
And also,
it's everywhere.
Well, there's a little bit other places.
So, right, but that's what I'm saying. It's not, I mean, there's a little bit of referring to other places, but if you really have to look through the whole thing to find all the pieces that relate to us, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because it should be spread out, but
Part of it would be the action list that is generated, which is what we teed off of last time.
right.
Right?
So-
But that's not in here.
that's not in here.
Will there be one?
Yes.
Yet?
Oh,
Yes.
That's the implementation plan in the future land use map.
Right.
got it. Okay.
It's not there.
Which should refer back to this.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay.
the actions are extracted from this.
Got it. So the only other thing that I was thinking is looking at some of the sort of suggestions, which won't be till the action. There is some overlap with the projects that we're looking at, and maybe, maybe there's some stuff in here that aren't in the project set that could be, so anyway, I was trying to wrap my head around all of that, yeah.
You can handle that.
Right, no, I'm just saying, so that I don't have like the wordsmithing stuff like you guys have. I just have the general sense of, how do I make sure that all my stuff is in there somewhere, but it sounds like the implementation plan will be more what I'm,
That's
need to
key. I
look
mean,
at,
it's
yeah.
like, it's got I wanted to get that, because that, to me, that's
Right,
that's
that's-
the meat. That's
that's the
actionable
part,
stuff.
yes, okay,
So we're not there yet,
Right.
unfortunately.
okay. That's all I have.
So thinking about sustainability and climate, which was what I was kind of focused on when I was reading this. I think, I mean, even in chapter 1 with housing, I feel like the energy resilience, if you want to call it that, seems like it's more, isn't really talked about much or addressed.
So,
And
so how and this is where it's going to get, especially for your part. So there's a requirement now that we have to discuss sustainability and resilience as part of the entire document. So that's why you
Right.
have that section in the back of that. A lot of the nitty gritty when it comes down to stuff that potentially you're thinking at is going to come out in the climate action plan. Because that's
Right.
going to be a lot more specific than this is, this is more, because this is talking about everything. So it's not going to get down to, we want solar panels on every single roof, but that might be a recommendation as part of the climate action plan. And again, I just made that up, but you understand what I'm trying to say there. So, but if there's something that's not specific enough, I would add that as a
Do you
comment.
know what the timing of that might be? The when we might see that?
So,
It's part of the package that goes to the town.
yeah,
Yeah, so it's gotta
Well,
be
the action plan
available.
is separate.
it's separate. It's not,
it's a
two
separate
separate
plan,
projects.
so
It's two separate
yeah.
plans.
What's the due date?
It's about the same time as the due date for Groton 2035. So,
I
And
haven't seen anything.
no, and there's nothing,
Available.
there's multiple consultants that are working on that right now. It's all different, it's looking at infrastructure and looking at facilities, looking at greenhouse gas emissions, looking at, buildings to cars to everything, the whole fleet and everything like that. But it's definitely much more fine tuned. And we're trying to make sure that the information that they think is important really is important, like there's some vulnerability assessments that right now don't really tell the whole story. So we're working with them in terms of making sure that that's clear. But there is nothing at this point to review. Not yet.
so I think we should still make comments though.
No, I'm not saying don't.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
okay.
Add
Yeah.
your comments. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
But I'm just saying some of the comments may be more fine tuned in the conversation.
Yes,
So would you like
Yeah,
to
I can-
draft some comments for chapter
I'll
1?
draft them, sure.
Okay.
And a couple other just kind of, and I was with Michelle, I wasn't going down to the level of, wordsmithing, but so energy resilience in chapter 1 is something that caught my eye. And just affordability of things in terms of doing some of this stuff. And you're right, I think a lot of this will come out in the climate plan. Let me see. In chapter 3, so we talked a lot about access to open space, and there's focus on walkability and biking here, but it doesn't. I just felt like public transportation was not addressed in the plan.
It's in there. Yeah, there's something in there.
There-
It's
And-
not really, but not deeply, just it's that it's more needed or
Right.
something.
I know it's-
You're saying they're weak on the social
It's
justice aspect
always
of.
listed as but walkability and biking, walkability and.
Oh, there's
biking.
trains and
There's
one place.
There's one.
At least one
where
place I
it
remember
has
seeing
a
it.
little bit more of
Yeah.
that, but also, it just felt like,
It needs to be more emphasis on that.
yeah, or also, I think the city of Groton has this on-call kind of ride option for people. Somewhere in the plan, I'd have to go back and look at it more clear. I only had a chance to read it today, so I will go back and look at it more closely, but they mentioned that there's quite a large proportion of people that don't have cars in the town of Groton. So what are they gonna do, right?
And one of the, and so
And they-
that's one of the big challenges, because a lot of that stuff we don't have control over because we don't run the bus routes and whatnot. And we're constantly year after year fighting to keep, bus stops and add new ones in areas
Right.
that really need them and stuff like that. So a lot of the language that's part of this, especially when we're looking for grants, whether, state, federal, whatever, is to make sure the language is inclusive enough to be able to use that to move towards greater public, you know what I mean? Like something like,
Right.
so, but again, add all that stuff to it. Yeah.
Okay, because the other point that I was thinking about too is they make a comment that those people who are on probably in that category are the people they didn't hear from either, right? And so now what you're hearing is biking and walkability from people who did feed, and it just felt like there was some missing pieces, but I'll try and put that together.
And that's the challenge. I mean, you hit the challenge.
Yes.
Then, I mean, like
Chicken and the egg.
we're about to, the resilience and sustainability folks are gonna go out and start canvassing again in Peconic Bridge, because again, not only for climate action, the climate action plan to kind of talk about next steps, because that is definitely the community that we do not hear from. And
Right.
they're the ones that, I see it every morning.
Yes.
I see several of them walking down to the bus station by the gas station down the road, and
Yeah.
so we really need those kind of connections and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so on chapter 3, it seemed like they're suggesting that the new Groton, New London Airport area should be built up as a commercial area or new.
I don't think it's
Yeah, well, maybe I misread it, but and in another section, they say explicitly in areas of prone to flooding that would be that you don't want to invest there. So maybe I misread it.
And again, the real, here goes another huge challenge. Unfortunately, we have no say whatsoever. It's state run.
Oh, that
None of
is-
our zoning does anything there. So
Okay.
that's one of the big challenges with state and really federal properties, that our zoning regs are completely ignored. So yes.
So it was building up infrastructure in that area is what they had in there. And
Well, the state has their economic development zone.
no, this is in our plan
Well,
though.
we're recognizing that,
Right.
the states, that's how I read it.
Oh,
Okay,
that
we're
the
just
state is
recognizing
in it.
that the
Okay.
state's doing this in this area.
Well, they've given the town some tax incentives, or there's some sort of incentives the state has given for this particular area because they felt that it needed a boost to look at development. I
Let's
thought.
check on that.
I really like the idea of having a visualization of the mixed use for Route 1 and what that would look like.
Yep.
Because I think it would really help people.
And there's a lot coming out of it, and there's so much, I think you all understand right now, because you've been involved with this. We have 3 major planning projects going on right
Yep.
now. Groton 2035, Climate Action Groton, or Climate Ready Groton, and Missing Middle Housing. And there is a lot of overlap, and yes, they're separate projects, but there will be some overlap. So especially for those areas where you could have mixed use, yes, we know that, like design standards as well as visuals are really important to be able to show that.
And then the only other thing that I don't know if I think it was in the agriculture section and encouraging people to grow their own food and community gardens. And then just made me think there are some food deserts and food security, another one of our projects.
Right, and
that
I
we had
didn't
here
do that this year, so I have to talk about that.
that's missing from this, I would say.
And I think that is also, and that
did have
piece
it
too
here.
is one of the things that we're thinking a lot about
Yeah.
from the standpoint of zoning, is it being
Yeah.
able to allow like small.
Bodega, if you
Exactly.
will.
Yes.
Or
Close
whatnot,
to- yeah.
being able to live off your land and share that with the community and stuff. like
Yeah,
that. So,
yeah, right.
so again, expand upon that, any of that kind of stuff.
Okay, so I'll write this, send it
Okay.
to you.
I'm rereading the section that you're targeting here. It says with industrial vacancy rates under 1%, is strong, but space constrained. Additional infrastructure investments will be necessary to unlock further groups, and the town should collaborate with Groton New London Airport Authority and the local utility suppliers to complete necessary infrastructure improvements. Okay, so they are kind of the way this is vectored is, go fix South. They say they give specifically to work with Promise and Worcester Railroad and utilities on South Road with the underpass to fix that so you can get more stuff in there. So I guess that's where you're talking about. That is the state does recognize that as an industrial zone, and it incentivize, there's incentives for development in that area. we have to recognize it. Maybe there probably needs to be a little bit more,
The language for me too.
tweak it to balance this better.
Right.
And definitely, put suggested language or whatnot in there. That's, I mean,
Okay.
that's kind of stuff that there will be feedback, but also, if this doesn't make sense or clarity or whatever that.
Okay. Okay, sounds good.
Moving right along.
You skipped grade. Did you have anything to say?
No,
Did I?
yeah,
Sorry.
I did, but,
Oh,
one of the things, when they talk about nodes, neighborhood nodes,
Yep.
and it seems like this keep cropping up.
We're discussing internally right now, because this is, well, with the consultants and the planning and zoning, this was actually a question with planning and zoning the other night about nodes. And I think you all understand the reasoning behind it, but we're not really sure they've been very effective. So the thought is to potentially go back to the neighborhood level instead of doing this whole nodes thing, to make it a little bit clearer, because, like, it'd be like, here, this is a node. Well, is it here or is it a little bit bigger? You know what I mean? So it's just putting a circle.
Well, the other is, well, we've had past discussions on this, is that, develop a little bit of a community within there, and so you need infrastructure.
Yep.
And that hasn't happened, or there's the way zoning is set up, for instance, where let's say where the Butler School is, let's put a gas station in. Take the school down, and it's a little node, it's maybe have a little store or something in there. And I think that's been some of the conversations that I've seen in past plans with the people who are putting the plan together. This is their concept of making make it into a community, a smaller community and part of the larger community. And it hasn't gone anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of stuff that, I mean, that were in the regs as part of the 2016 POCD that were big selling points, and they haven't gone anywhere. And some of that has to do with like the market and what developers actually want to build in there, the cost of stuff, the cost of materials, everything like that. So I think this is the time to kind of revisit all that. So that's why that I think the last time we had this conversation just the other day with them about nodes. And it sounded like the commission wanted to move kind of away from the nodes. They were kind of a little more confusing and stuff, and really move towards more of this kind of the creating like neighborhoods, little communities around that, rather than these actual nodes. So.
That's all I have.
Oh yeah, I looked at this a long time ago, and now I'm like, well, like, what was it? I had noticed something about, well, one thing that you and I were interested was the solid waste, which I felt was only mentioned in passing. It
Yep.
just got like, it was very
Yeah,
glossed over.
it was
See that.
not really addressed.
And
Minor, I think I have it in that comment.
You might, yeah, I think you have something.
Yeah. Yep.
It's almost like it was no problem, it was taken care of, but.
Yeah.
we didn't-
yeah, no, it's a
Yeah,
major
right.
area of, for climate, for resiliency, for sustainability,
everything.
for everything, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I think the challenge, and again, add all this in there, right? And all your stuff has been added. They have read all your stuff and whatnot, and they're very well aware of, I think, but one of the big challenges with solid waste is that we don't have a solid waste facility here anymore. So everything, no
Which
one
makes it even more of a problem.
Yeah.
I know it does. Yeah. And I'm just saying, I think that is put in there, whatever, anything else you want to add in there, but I think that's been a lot of the question is.
I mean, because during this 2035 plan, it's gonna get worse,
Yeah.
right? Because the plant goes
It's gonna
offline,
get
but in 2030, I think.
Yeah.
So, so you can't not address it. That's what kind of caught me on that. Like, really? So even acknowledging it's a problem, and maybe the action is, we got to do something about it by this date. It's better than nothing. Well, maybe not, but
Put it in there. Like
Yeah, okay,
I know they've seen that, and that
Yep.
it has been discussed.
I was wondering also, there's something about the drinking water that Aquarian was worried about, certain development proposals might impact or challenge the availability of drinking water, and I just wondered, if there was anything more specific
Oh.
than that.
Increased development that Aquarion, and they would,
Yeah, and then they're talking about joining two water systems together, so I just was,
the Groton utilities.
Yeah,
was
so
That,
planning on
that, that would be,
moving on.
that's another whole thing that,
That's another whole,
that's, yeah.
you know, like.
Yeah, it's
We
like,
don't have any control over that either, just
Yeah.
stuff that's been talked about, so we're just kind of mentioning.
well, and the kibosh was just put on it. Yeah, so. Hmm. Anything else?
again, I looked at this such a long time ago that I hardly remember something about unmet needs of certain age groups and interests, and I was just looking for more in chapter 5, more clarity on that, what that was about. But we can just gloss over that, because like I said, it
Was
was
that partnerships with outside organizations?
this place we celebrate and enjoy.
No, it was more facilities for younger people.
For young, is that the specific, well, they've addressed that, I guess, with maybe this new referendum on the fields and stuff, who knows?
Maybe, I
It's
think,
still not a
I think,
pool or-
no, I think it's more than that, I think it's not just the, recreation, but it's actually like a community center, you
Mm.
know, and that's.
So you have a senior center, but you don't have
Right.
something for anybody younger
Well,
than
there,
that.
no, we have the, right next to the town hall.
We
have-
do, but it's
Nobody
a,
knows this.
exactly.
It's like a
I
dreary
even
old
donated
scary
a
place.
fucking thingy.
Right?
There's some challenges that, I mean, it really needs some, some an influx of some money into that to
Mm.
really make it become the community center that the town needs. It's not just, oh, it's an old school, we'll just put things in there, because right now, okay, karate runs out of this old classroom. And dancing runs out of this old classroom. It needs more, if it really is gonna become. And this is actually, when I went out and did canvassing in Pequannock Bridge, this was a huge conversation with multiple people that we heard. It's like, the library's great, but even the old Fitch is great. But it needs to be more, it really needs to be a gathering place, not just coming there for one class and then leaving. It needs to be more, and it needs, just like anything else, it needs, all right, so we all passed the referendum for fixing the Fitch fields, right? It needs kind of something like that. It needs, this influx of some money in there to really bring it to what it could be as a community center. It's also, I think it's in there too as well. I'm going back and forth between all these plans. I know it's definitely in the climate action plan, but I think it's the thought of making that a resilience hub too. So a location where you can actually, during a major storm or whatnot, that it's a place you can go and get food and charge your phones and whatnot, but also in the outside of events, it's a place to learn. To learn about to basically, for the community to learn different things and whatnot about that. So that's a piece of it. But
Is there a plan for that?
I don't think there's a great laid out plan. So that's kind of what it needs. It needs kind of that forethought of what would this become? What does it really need? How, if it is going to become a resilience hub, and how is it going to operate if the rest of the town has no power? You know what I mean? Like, so what are the, that goes back to,
Yeah.
solar or battery or whatever that is, but looking beyond what it is just now, not just kind of repurposing the school for, okay, yeah, it's a great place to run classes and stuff. It is, but it needs to be kind of something more if it really is going to truly become that community center. So.
Yeah, I think a lot of this ownership of it right now, Parks and Rec is somewhat taking the lead because they have staff and available efforts to do it, but beyond that, there's nobody really in charge.
Right. Yeah.
Particularly start looking at a multifaceted program.
Okay, similar with the aquariums capacity, I don't know if we have control or whatever, but like with school facilities, it was mentioned about flooding and mold issues, like, but like there was nothing more detailed about it. Is that something that the town does?
So.
Or
Which part is it? Because I'm trying to remember which part it talks about.
chapter 2, maybe?
Yeah, I remember reading that too.
Yeah, it was just mentioned about flooding and molding in schools and it's being a problem, and I didn't see no like solutions.
Well, this is not gonna be like, we're gonna come in there, you know what I mean? This is big picture, you know, in plan. So, but if it's as part of the plan, especially if it comes out as part of the implementation strategies and the action items there, that's how you can kind of move forward and say, okay, we have in the POC, this here says here that we are gonna invest in our whatever, you know, facilities to do this one.
Yep.
So applying for grants and what, we need to reference back on so many different things for planning and zoning in order for us to get support for next.
Okay. Thank
But
you.
again, you can build off that too. There's not like nothing, no comments are gonna be ignored. It's just, you know, we're getting a bunch of comments in there, so add that to it, you know, like more clarity for us.
Yeah.
That's what we have the consultants for, you know, like, so.
Yeah, I guess also going off of that, like another clarity thing, I guess like for me is in chapter 2 about the coastal resilience decisions. There was a retreat versus rebuild that was mentioned but not defined. So I guess for like clearer guidance that would help avoid case by case conflicts, just like
It's gonna be, this is a big one.
Yeah.
You know, and this is definitely something that's gonna come out as part of the climate action plan. This is a really big one, and
it's gonna
and
be
if
about
you've read the
priorities.
paper over the weekend, in terms of some of the redevelopments happening in downtown Mystic, and one of the proposals that was there, that they showed the picture, one of the big challenges is that, it's in the flood zone. And the question is, you know, being one of the top destinations, not only in the state, but in the region, how does redevelopment happen in a place like Mystic, that floods all the time? And these conversations are extremely hard. These conversations underline the fact that things have to change. And instead of trying to push back change, embracing that change, things are gonna look different. And like I said, a lot more is gonna come out in the climate action plan, because this is looking at the climate action plan. This has some undertones of the climate. It's required to, even though we're not technically required to, we're putting it in there in this one ahead of time. But basically that's gonna be looking at flooding and heat and drought and wind and, you know, and whatnot. And the challenges that we have going forward. And it's challenging. I'm just gonna leave it at that. It's super challenging, and these are things that are going to, you know, these are things that need to be embraced by the community. Things that have to change.
Mhm.
You know, so.
Yeah, but wasn't in that article, didn't they talk about having stairs up and then, but then we're gonna get a variance?
This is we're in
So
the
here we
process
are.
right now,
Here we
so,
are.
but this is.
In the day on the redoing the bookstore into a jewelry store. But they won't have it at ground level, so people can walk in, but they're saying, no, it should have steps up.
The elevated like they did.
The yellow one,
Down.
yeah.
And,
Yeah,
but-
which nobody ever goes up. You never go up those stairs to those
Well, it's-
never, I mean, I've
it's-
never been up there.
I have, and
I mean, once I went, twice.
it's less inviting.
Yeah, it's an obstacle for a lot of people.
Okay.
I have one more thing. It might be with like the climate implementation, but thinking from like my environmental perspective, there wasn't a lot of push for nature-based solutions. So like tree canopy expansions, wetland restorations. I also just added bio whales, BMPs, anything of that such. I didn't throughout all of the chapters, but I know that's kind of a
It's scattered within. I mean, there is
There's-
mention of a tree canopies
there's,
for
yeah.
heat and there, yeah. But again, it's just so
Not-
high
and-
level.
Not-
itself,
it's a
it's
solution.
really-
And again,
yeah, like solutions.
Yeah.
what Larry has always wanted, and he's getting the cart before the horse, because you got to get all this background first, is really that implementation and what those those strategies are, and those you've seen those, but they're not in one form where you can see them all together and see how that all plays together. So,
Okay.
All right, here's the plan. Heard a lot of words, additional comments in there. So by December 19th, get your comments into me.
Right.
I will formulate a letter. I may ask Tom to review it. And then on our January meeting, present a letter that says, this is what we want to submit to P and Z.
Okay.
I don't know if we need to wait. Hey, yeah, I get this then. Those guys can be working as sooner the better. What,
Well, okay, I'll wait and see what I get on the 19th.
yeah, cause I think, yeah, we've all heard what their comments here, we've all made suggestions, so.
All right, well, then let me ask it differently. Is there a appetite to say, don't wait for January, but based upon the input we get on the 19th to
Submitted,
authorize me to put
yes.
out a letter?
Authorize you, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Authorize you.
A lot of head nods.
Yes, you're authorized.
Yep, you're authorized.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything I disagreed with from anybody else,
Nope.
so.
That's a whole thing.
Okay. Well, but you may not like how I say it.
We love how you express things. That's why we have you in your position. If you can touch on that one. That's the
Oh,
second.
oh, that's the wrong
No,
one?
that's the one you can touch.
Oh, I can't, okay. Yeah, this actually, the new one is better than my old one.
Oh, good, yeah.
Oh,
good.
It's
geez.
just okay, off topic.
So 3 weeks.
Well,
You're
if you
giving-
get a 19th, I'm gonna
Without
do a
any
turnaround, so my objective would be before Christmas, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was looking at, the Christmas, once you get into Christmas and New Year's.
I think Tom's chomping at the bit. I think he wants to do it tomorrow so you can get it on out.
Well, I already got his comments. Okay. Thank you.
And then the last thing I'll say is I think you all know that, we don't have dates yet for the public hearing and stuff like that, so obviously there's still, you guys are way ahead of the game in terms of submitting comments. Obviously the public hearing is another opportunity to add comments there as well,
And
but
you said you don't have a date for that.
We don't have a date. hopefully.
You have a vague month
We're
approximately?
hoping early spring,
Okay,
so.
March.
That's January's early.
No, that's.
No, that's not winter. That's still winter, yeah.
Today's meteorological window.
Not this year.
Special.
Too cold.
No, the
Uh,
next section will
so
be out
much to do.
over. And I think that actually, I think the review of that section is gonna be on. The open house for it is actually gonna be on January 15th.
The open house for which?
It will be the final open house.
5:30 on the Thursday, the 15th.
Yep.
That's right, 55. They announced that at the last meeting.
5:30,
Yep.
Same time, same place.
January 15th.
January 15th.
Yeah, January.
Yeah.
You're saying that they'll have line through with all the recommendations for action items.
You mean the implementation?
Implement-
Yes, the hope is that we're hopefully soon gonna see that whole list as well as the future land use map.
All right. Moving on. Under budget support, so a quick summary of the legal reviews. The legal review brought up a point that I did not consider is that monies that are already in the fund cannot be merged with, even if there was an ordinance change, could not be merged used in the future for stewardship. It only would be future funds is the legal review. So, which kind of put me off a little bit, but that was that aspect of it. So, it seems to me that, the question is, do we really want to go forward with something that we had talked about? Or do we want to put our energy in getting more funding for the Parks and Recs department specifically for stewardship?
I personally think that the town needs to move forward with this effort of cleaning up the policy and to get it in line with the state regulations that have changed since the policy was issued. And so from that aspect, I think we should be going down the path of getting an ordinance in place. Even though it's gonna take a lot.
Well, and
Just
also,
from a legal cleanup perspective.
yeah,
And then the side benefit is that we get long term, but in parallel, we should, for this again, fiscal year, we should be doing just like we did last year, trying to
Is-
support the Parks and Rec
Yeah,
efforts.
and they did get a few more shekels.
They didn't get,
Oh,
the shekels
I got
that they weren't cut. So from that aspect, is how I would look at it.
Okay,
But this is gonna be a new town council, and I fully anticipate that they're gonna go through line by line and potentially cut, like they did 2 years ago. This past year, they took on I went and made our statement to the town council. I'm part of it said, hey. Just pass it all the way it is, and they did. Cause they basically did blocks, like 3 blocks, that's all they had, like 3 votes for the entire budget. Rather than going line by line, excruciating through
well, the
every.
mill rate did decrease from a few years ago, so.
And as I say, that's what I anticipate this year, it coming up for 20, the discussions in March of 26, when they start going through the budget, they're gonna go through every line of it. Just because you have new town councilors and that,
They
that's
got,
where you're gonna have potential exposure to cuts.
they got a lot
wanna
of
feel like
flack.
they're doing something.
They got a lot of flack for not going through it publicly.
Right,
They got
yeah.
a lot of negative pushback for that.
So. Your suggestion is to do both.
Yeah,
Other,
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good.
okay, so we do have a proposal for the new ordinance, which needs to be submitted to, I'm trying to think of, do we need to change anything based upon the legal review? I don't,
no,
think
the
so.
legal review said that what we're proposing, I got the impression. That it's reasonable, and so that we just go through an ordinance process, which is really staff. And I don't know what his timeline is and availability to support something like this. Does it have to wait till after the P O C D? I don't know.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, just based upon what's going on right now.
Good to have-
And I'm not, and again, have you talked to John about this too?
not this,
Then
no.
then that's probably the next step.
Cause it took a bunch of time. I remember when we did the plastic ordinance. It took a lot of staff. effort
Well, that was a
on your
big,
predecessor.
that was a much bigger, much more
Oh, yeah,
complicated
it
ordinance.
was, it was. But this one's, there's complications and legal reviews and all this kind of stuff, just like the other one had. So. And I just don't know, planning resources for the next 6 months, like you said, are. Or they're non-existent, there's no slop in the system.
Yep, no, okay.
Okay, so to be honest with you, we're doing a cleanup effort, and so. It's more important to supporting the budget, whatever Mr. Berry puts out there to support.
Well, that's where I was coming from. I mean, that's a more immediate
Yeah,
thing.
that's gonna be the needy thing, but I think we should, we could table the ordinance, the cleanup ordinance until after the budgetary process is complete. So put it on the agenda for May or something like that.
All right, take another look at that to see, should we either provide an intro statement, because the comments you made about this is really a cleanup didn't come across in the document per se. It.
Well, it's because we had a different.
No, I'm just saying it needs a little positioning.
It needs a revamp based on the legal comments that you
Right.
received back, because your vision was, oh, I've got this pot of money here that I can retire, and the lawyers basically said, no, you can't.
You can't, yeah.
So that's the real change here,
Right,
that we
yeah.
need to put our new strategy together for.
All right, so let's put it on for May. Is it?
Well, yeah, because right now, the legal strategy says it's just a cleanup effort at this point.
Right, yeah, okay.
Uh,
All right, so we'll do that in May. We'll revisit this with maybe slightly modified the
There's
position.
no major developments coming between now and May, is there, that this is gonna,
All right.
$40 million here that's gonna be coming your way. Nothing that, nothing sufficient right now, so, but that'd be the only thing that would change something.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't.
Yeah, and, yeah. All right, and I have it on my notes, is I'll reach out to John on just a heads up on what's
Yeah.
coming. And we'll revisit it in May.
Because all the staff work will be done by then. And he can start.
Done with what?
No, well, then it starts.
Right.
We do have that face stuff film.
I don't know what the hell you're smoking. Right. Moving right along,
Easy for me to say.
vacant land review, Pleasant Valley. So there's been a lot of toing and froing on that, and I guess basically what came out in the contract, the proposed contract, really has this little tiny area and no conservation easements, no nothing. So a bit disappointing since we were,
It left me like, we gave all these, testimony and suggestions and write-ups and
nobody cares.
this. I haven't been able to do is to compare this statement with the one for the Triton Square, because I kind of read this in viewpoint. This may be even less than what was the Triton for the Triton Square people. But I think that's kind of where it kind of came from, but it's still it's still all black magic as far as from my perspective of what went into the negotiation process.
Well, because it's all secret. Yeah.
Well, that's the whole, should we be asking officially to have, now that the thing is out here, there's no more, as far as what was wrong with our proposal, that it didn't get accepted, what, we rejected, or, at a high level, as far as, a post negotiation, I look at it from, if this was a contract bid, we put our recommendations out there to be included and they didn't happen. Why not? So for future reference points, it'd be a good learning from our perspective to understand what is going on from the developer that you've rejected this, is that the town has insufficient resources or position to be able to get something like this in. What's lacking? What do we need to be doing different to get the easement or greater proportions dedicated to open space? Where did we fail?
Well, we failed because the revised process got shot down.
What revised process?
The revised land sale process.
No, the land sale process is fine. It's negotiations that are being done by the
But
town.
we had a greater role in that process. To be able
I
to
don't
push
say
our.
we had any greater role or lesser role.
Yeah, we don't have any role now.
Well, no, we had a role of the putting in our recommendations,
That's not-
that's all we are as an advisory
That's-
board, okay? That, or commission that gets to put in recommendations to the people that are doing the negotiations.
Okay, well, we can-
And so you want
I don't-
feedback on why
want feedback.
it wasn't accepted? Yeah, so we're asking for
Why is my
feedback.
advice being
Yeah.
ignored?
would say it was ignored.
Talk to the council.
What?
Talk to the council. I mean, they're the ones that,
It's not the council, it's the negotiators that were dealing, the council approved what this was, okay? They didn't, and, because they said this, because the people, the negotiators said, this is the best I can get from the developer. Right? This is a contract negotiation.
So
Okay.
what you're saying is you want a
A back
session
brief
with
is
the
what I'm saying.
staff
Yeah,
who
it's for-
developed it that said, why couldn't you get more?
and I would suggest, like, what I sent to you, Larry, I suggest I'll send that out to everyone, which is goes through the whole process of where things are now. And then right up there, because that explains it.
Well, no, it doesn't.
It doesn't explain it.
explains-
Explains the process.
It explains the process, but it doesn't explain. In the negotiations, we gave your staff, we, Corin and the folks that were doing this, or whoever the people are negotiating, that they come up with these words, okay? Or recommendations, okay, as far as to either subdivide the property, to put a conservation easement, I wrote up what the easement would look like, and none of that, nothing and then I go look at the final product here, and the final product is a half acre.
Yeah,
But
nothing.
But I think part of it too is that like the attorney is gonna write up the conservation easement. It's not something that, yes, it's great that you provided that, but really that's a legal document that the lawyer would take.
That's not the
But
point.
the point is,
Well, I'll let the person that asks.
Yes,
So
but you're here.
I've been in a meeting.
But you're here.
It's the right person.
So,
from the staff perspective, that your office was the people doing this negotiations, okay? So all I'm asking from the conservation group, this is the second time we were just, well, basically the third time, because we had made a recommendation on 519 to put a block off on that. On Gold Star Highway, then we asked for Trident Square, we were asked to comment on that, we provided comments to make sure that you have a potential blockage of either subdivision or acreage put there. And this time we actually said, put a conservation easement and at least minimum number of acreage that could be potentially set aside. And we come back, and so we've been unsuccessful as a commission advocating for more open space on these town sales. And so what are we doing wrong? And we're not getting any feedback. We're just generating the same,
Throw another dart at the.
yeah, throwing it out there into this ether of negotiations, and we're not seeing anything back. So all I'm saying is, is there an opportunity here to ask the staff negotiators if there's some type of feedback? I'm not looking for all the gory details, but where were we ineffective, or what were the constraints that the town balanced our request and went with the developers side? Because the developer, I mean, somebody came up with a half an acre. I don't know if that was as a compromise or what it was. Okay,
It was what was already there, I think.
it's about what's there as the park right now, and one of the playgrounds, not all the playgrounds.
Is it? Yes.
Isn't there a percentage, isn't it like 10% or something has to be? Isn't that?
Well, or
already-
not.
No, that's
No,
that's
that's
for
different.
subdivision development.
This is
a
town
single
property.
Parcel.
Oh, right,
sale.
okay.
That's what we're saying is, we need to be more innovative, and that's what we were trying to recommend in the negotiation process to
Okay.
get better
So
conservation.
Dave, is it possible for the development, I'm trying to remember the name of this, the team that does this, the economic development negotiation team, whatever the hell they call it. I know you had one or two guys and one of them left, and now I'm kind of lost track of who's doing that. Come to a future meeting with the objective that says, how can we do a better job of giving you information that achieves the goal of improved conservation easements on town-owned property sales?
sure. I would say like,
Or is this something that Larry needs to address with Mr. Reiner?
I would,
What? I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, I would say, I would ask them when you have to call them anyways about whatever the things you said.
The Coleman.
Not call them, what would you say?
About the ordinance.
About
The ordinance.
Oh, yeah, let's ask them. And see, that's what I can ask.
No, what I
just
said
wanna ask
was, I wanted bodies in chairs so that we can have a discussion. It's a lot harder.
I don't like they're up there. I'm not in that division, and they're not my staff. So like they're all. I would ask John. That's what I'm saying.
See if he can.
So you
I
would
can
not
ask.
communicate and say, we would like you at the February meeting
I'm happy
to do A,
communicate
B,
that.
C, and D.
Happy.
And then I will also tell John why.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Okay.
That's I think the best route. I
Okay.
mean, really, because you're asking a different division under OPDS to do that, and that's really.
But you're our guy.
I'm happy. Like I said, I'm happy.
You're our guy too, Larry.
Yes.
Put your head out there.
You know, staff guy. Plus,
Yeah.
Good job.
okay.
Just
I
saying.
forgot where the hell we
One
were.
of the arguments that is perennial in the Conservation Commission. One of the things that we a number of years ago on Pequot Woods was expanding. A new neighborhood was going to go in, and And then there was some open space coming toward Pequot Woods because of the neighborhood was right next to Pequot Woods. And we said, okay, where's our open space that's going to be part of this? And all of a sudden, once things started moving ahead, you realize we got really small open space, but there was a playground that suddenly took a good part of this new open space that was there. And it's like, where did this playground come from? Well, it turns out that if it's, I guess, X number of houses in the subdivision, you're required to have some sort of a playground as part of that. But that never came out, as we're advocating for open space.
So the playground was considered the open space?
Yes.
Wait, and it's not.
And the playground, so when they negotiating, okay, house. Oh, you need a playground? It's gonna go in the open space. And so all of a sudden, it's not this open area anymore. It's the level, it's the dry. Which understandable, okay, if you need to put one, that's the way it is. But it's that same sort of argument that you don't know until you get further down the line. The needs that they have, no one comes back to you and says, you're gonna share the open space, for instance. You're supposed to know the regs, you're supposed to know, the whole process, how this goes. And really?
So I think too, also, I'm looking back over this whole thing too, is like, so what was negotiated is a minimum of half an acre. Yes, they can do a half an acre, but they can do more. And we're looking at a piece of property with no structures on it right now, right? So it may mean that there actually might be a bigger space based upon how they move the position, move the building there.
Hope
So-
is not a plan.
Well, I'm not saying, I'm saying before, but you're.
I guess I'm more concerned about the lack of easement. Okay, we spent a lot, our effort was, I agree that we got something. It's not that we didn't get anything, but we were looking for an easement on the property.
And the truth is, because that's the other piece too, because it's in the water resource protection district, 20% of the property needs to remain in natural state. An easement could come out of that. We just don't know yet. So like a lot of it is assumptions that we're not gonna get an easement, and none of that is finalized yet. The only thing they're working on right now is the purchase and sales agreement, but all these other pieces are not there. So part of it could be that, because there are some steep sections in the back. Maybe that's a section that's gonna be an easement on because they can't do it. Maybe they'll run trails up there. We don't know, because at this point, this is just I'm just saying, we're just dealing with it at the very basic
I know
level
that.
without a project.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think that, so that's something that you have to consider as well, is that this is just the purchase and sale of the property. It's not what the final project is gonna look like.
Right.
So, and all of that still has to go in front of planning and zoning. So if it doesn't meet the 20% WRPD, if it does, there's certain things that, this is still a long way out, and it's not a long way before that project can become what it ultimately will become. Okay.
This is gonna be a long meeting.
We're getting there.
I'm just waiting.
Beginning,
I know I did.
but now it's your turn.
And Tabitha's here. Do you have the email I sent that has the projects on it?
Yes.
That you could put up on the screen?
Psych.
So while Larry's doing that, I apologize if this wasn't in the package, but the package is so long already anyway. I'm not as sorry as I thought I was gonna be. So I'll do a quick overview. Well,
Students already.
What page that is?
well, yeah, that's what, so let me.
It's on there.
Give that overview and then ask questions. So basically,
Right here. Yeah, okay. Oh, yeah, I saw that. Hang on. Oh, wait.
so this year there are 11 students, which is perfect because we want it to have 3 for the Earth Day. So then we could do 3 and then 4 2. So we have a total of 5 projects that they'll be able to pick, right? And so I would like us to give them at least 7 options so that they have a little bit of choice. And this year, what I recommended was that we assign priorities to the projects. And so far, I have the Earth Day Fair as the top priority, that we want to staff that before we go farther. And then,
Tabitha has joined us.
hi Tabitha. And then, and in the interest of time, I'm not going to go into all the details of each project, to sort of just do here's what the topic is and what we're thinking. And then we have January to do the final details, because the students, we meet the students in February. So we still have the January meeting to finalize the list. So let's go through what we have so far, because I got some good recommendations. I have last year's follow-ons, some good recommendations from Giselle, and some good recommendations from Tabitha. So let's go with what we have. So the second thing on the list is the stewardship of town open space. And Tabitha, this is our top priority for you, right? So this is and I made that a second. So we have the first priority, that's second priority. Everything else I have is 3s and 4s. So one of the things I'm going to ask from the group is there anything that you want to, level up to a 2? I don't think anything else is a 1, like the Earth Day is the 1, but what other things are?
Are you saying 1 and 2 are in, from our perspective?
That's my opinion. Yes, absolutely. So the second one is to do that next level of work for Tabitha, is to take that software that last year's group came up with and actually create the documents, the documentation, all the stuff that the town of Parks and Rec needs to actually use the software. So basically to get the software usable. Again, using probably COP and maybe something else, but we can work out those details. But basically take that to the next step that actually is going to make it usable by our volunteers. And Tabitha, I don't think I told you this. I told the team last month, one of my friends and her husband, they live up near the Navy base somewhere, and they're willing to be volunteers that walk the trails using the software. Right.
Oh,
So
that's
they're,
excellent.
Exactly. Right. So they're not willing to be the leads, but they said, because yeah, it'd be nice to have a purpose when we take our walks. Right. So we actually already have at least a couple of volunteers lined up to test our software for us.
Right. They can test it. That's great.
Yeah, isn't that awesome? So this, this is, we have like all the pieces to that take this to that next level.
So will the students then have access to the test results or guide the test? I mean,
Yeah, the idea would be to have them work with Tabitha.
Okay.
Hopefully by February, have a lead steward for the property. If not, we'll just have to keep beta testing it with us. But then to have the volunteers come in and actually test what the students create.
Okay.
So that's again, I almost want to make that a 1, but I really don't want to. I want the Earth Day to be the showcase 1, right? So that's my top 2. And then, so after that, then the next things that I was thinking, and I'll just go through these fairly quickly, and then we can circle back. So to basically upgrade the Get Outdoors backpack, Jen and I did the walk, so we have pictures. What I don't know is we don't know yet whether Sabit, what the interest is there, right? So Jen is actually meeting with him, meeting with him on Wednesday. He actually reached out to Jen and to ask about the projects.
Are
What's
you
that?
coming too? He said you might be coming too.
Well, I was going to, but they scheduled it during a time that I have something else going on. I was hoping to, but I can send him anyway. So basically to find out, like for him to understand, so we were hoping it was today, like at 4:00, in which case I would have this information already, but I don't know how involved he wants to be, if he wants to be as involved as Megan was, as Tabitha is, or not. So Jen's going to talk. But so 2 of them are the going forward from last year, the Get Outdoors Groton ones, which is the backpack. We really don't need him for per se, because Jen and I know it needs to be done. We just have to get the students to do it. I have no idea how interested they are in continuing the play space project, right? So that would be something that Jen's got to find out from him on Wednesday. So those are the next 2 left over. So I made the backpack of 3 and the play space of 4, because I really just don't know. And then the Groton 2035, there are so many possibilities with what's in that plan. And so we have the food security one from before that we could follow up on. We have, there's other possibilities and I just don't know what all we want to try. So I'm open to suggestions that,
This is, when you have to give something to these students to take a look at, that this is so vague that.
well, but we have to make it not, that's my point, is we have to pick something, right? So one of the things, was it a follow-on for the food? Is it getting more specifics about for instance, the solid waste thing? One of the students is interested in solid waste. So do we want to come up with a project that they can help us investigate some solid waste stuff? Yes.
I thought maybe in one of these things would be whatever the theme is for the 2026 Earth Day, to incorporate that.
What's the theme?
Well, I just Googled it and it says it's planet versus plastic, which we just had we had that 2 years ago. It doesn't make sense, but that was that the AI generated. But
Yeah, so
Oh.
if we know the theme by January, we can maybe make adjustments, but we know, we know that one of the students might be, so it's possible, the 2035 would be, what could we get a student to be more involved with on the solid waste issue, right? And again, I'm not going to create that verbiage, right? If somebody wants to do that, you need to give me the verbiage for the student. I've gotten as creative as I can with my stuff. So that's so that's still open, in my opinion, what you guys want to do. The next thing down is the trees. Again, Giselle, I don't know what things you might want to have the students do, but obviously trees is a big thing for the commission right now. So we could probably come up with, I don't know if what's in here is the right words or not.
Yeah.
So, and you gave, one of these is from you, right? So if that's what we want to do, we need to make that more sound like the other projects.
Is there any crossover to the action plan list? To get something?
No, but I could definitely, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, so look at that,
Yeah.
you get a twofer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one that I added, the carbon sequestration and sustainability, I was really thinking about it after I sent it to you, and I'm like, might be a little bit too much for them.
Yeah, and I think, right, you don't need, this isn't about them doing a major research project.
No.
This is about them learning how to run a project. So somewhat simple, somewhat straightforward, easily doable in a couple months, because even though they have a semester, they really have a couple months.
Yeah.
And so something that would be helpful for you, but is easily accomplished and plus they have, I mean, this is on top of all their other work, it's on top of other projects. This isn't something, it's not a research project, it's just go play a little bit and give us something useful. So it's yes.
I had one more concept, just in the idea
Sure.
of this, in terms of waste and in terms of sustainability and not
Mhm.
greenhouse. Fast fashion is a huge thing. It's not getting a lot of, but I think for college aged kids, and we're
They
talking
might
about
really like that.
yeah, fast
Yeah,
fashion. They're
fast
talking about
fashion.
having, and I think the high school kids that are involved in the planning of the fair came up with the idea of a clothing exchange at
Yep.
the eco fair. But if there could be something with the fast fashion themes, because it's huge.
I don't even know what that means.
Oh, because right now clothes are made to be worn once or twice. You should know. They're made to be worn once or twice and then discarded. But there's goods and cotton is farmed, whatever, that's shipped across the ocean and manufactured and shipped over there and packaged and shipped over there. It's a huge consumption of energy. I mean,
right. So
you want me to write up something?
Yes,
A
please.
little something, yeah.
Yeah.
Just because I mean that.
I think
for
it's a
that
great idea, and that's something that the students probably would
For the
glom onto. Absolutely, yes.
patching clinic where you learn how to sew
Right.
creative patches. I mean, there's a lot you could do in that.
Well, just
in a-
investigating what it is and coming up with ideas is a project, right?
Yes.
No, I mean, that's the,
No,
the
seriously.
project is identify all the issues associated with
With-
this and create some ideas from the college and the town could do
Yeah.
to improve
Okay, I'll
that.
send you something.
Okay, I think that sounds great.
UConn does.
Yeah, UConn has a program,
we
yeah,
have
but I
one.
think Concord
And then we could-
they also had a little club, I think, for sure UConn has one, but I think Conn College might also have a little fast fashion club, like a club addressing it.
Okay,
So
no, yeah, I think
that's
that sounds like a really fun topic, actually. I use Trashy personally to get for stuff that's like, because then they do stuff with the material. So anyway, okay, so that's great. So So you're gonna think a little bit more about refining about the trees. So we definitely want something about trees, right?
Okay.
For sure. I think that that's on our priority list. And then the rain gardens is another possibility. And then Giselle, the invasive. Okay, so in Tabitha, you're gonna love what I'm gonna tell you right now. Is she still there? The invasive species mapping and management. One of the
Yes.
students is interested in using drones to map invasives.
Great idea.
That's a great
So-
idea.
Exactly, right? So I think that we're going to put the invasive species mapping and management a 2. Because we know, pretty sure we have a student that might want to do that.
Does he have the?
No, you can still.
If they don't, we can figure it out.
Actually, in the winter, it's easy.
If the college doesn't have them, they might be able to borrow one from the Coast Guard. I know we've got drones at the R&D Center, so if the town doesn't have
Yeah,
drones,
just be careful about their permission and stuff like that. That's,
well, sure.
that's the only potential.
Well, and maybe they'll find out that you can't actually do the drone, but what would it take? What would it take what would it take for the town to have a system of doing drone mapping of invasive
Well,
species?
I think this would be on town-owned property first. I mean, you could talk about
Yeah.
if there's a methodology that works, then you could say, can we use it someplace
We
else?
may have to have someone, the reason why I'm saying that is oftentimes, if it is part of the town, it might mean someone has to get certified in that.
Right.
But
Yes.
Right,
but this,
if you're just
their
like-
job is to scope it out,
Yes.
right? To scope out what it would take for the town to use drones to do invasive species mapping.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. You said they had a drone, so that's why I was just saying like.
Well, no, we could, no, I don't even know if they
Predator
have a
drone, yeah, it's
drone.
like 30 feet
Yeah.
long. and
Yeah, imagine.
It hovers there.
It'd be
looking-
awesome. I would love it.
Okay, so, but I mean, they scope it out, and if it turns out it's possible and someone has a drone, then they could do a test of it, right? Take for the town to do.
The challenge is that they have February and March to do this project. No leaves on the trees. And they're gonna have to learn what winter
Mm.
invasives look like
Well,
and how to distinguish it between everything
Yeah.
else.
and maybe
No.
it's not the mapping, they're not gonna do the mapping. They're going to figure out what it would take for the town to have this as a function. And then they might do a test run to see what it looks like in the winter. But it's not to create a map of invasives. That's not the deliverable, not the first year. Maybe in future years, it might be a deliverable, but the first year is just,
Be plot and do a map of
the
the.
first year is to scope it out. Right? We've learned we've learned that having deliverables,
You gotta parse it up.
having multi-phase,
And like you
projects
said,
is-
it's about the project management
Right.
side. of
So
it
let 'em-
rather than-
Right.
see how far they get, but if they come up with here's what it would take for the town to do this, that's a win, right? So, okay.
I heard you say they have a drone and I'm like, oh.
I just.
Literally drone.
Oh, what did you say? Maybe that's what I mean.
So,
No, it was a
but-
question. It
it
was
was a
not a
question.
statement.
I thought it was a statement.
No,
I was thinking the
No.
exact same.
Okay,
People.
all right, so what do we have that we like definite so far? So we have,
How many?
that's what I'm just, right, we have that
Well,
one,
students, right?
That's what I
two,
can say, how many can you do?
3 projects, that's it.
3, 5 projects. 3,
11. Well, we need more than 3 on
Four.
the Earth Day. I mean, more than 2 on the Earth Day.
no, we have, so we have 3 students for the Earth Day,
Yes.
and then 2 students for 4 more projects. We have 11 students, 3 for Earth Day, 2 for 4
That
other
makes sense,
things.
Yeah.
So I have this one, Groton 35, we'll assume there's gonna be something come out of that, 4, 5. For sure we want this, 6. Do we have any, so the rain garden one, yeah, I think Tabitha integrated stewardship dashboard, I think we need to put that off for future reference. But I think once we get this next thing done with the trail software, that might be something we can look into. And the same thing with the trailblazing and wayfinding improvements. Does that go with this? Maybe. So Tabitha, do you want to, so the one you have in there on trailblazing and wayfinding improvements, does that assume we already have that good software or is that a different thing?
That's a different thing. That's just basic, trail maintenance, really. So that's kind of not what you're looking for, I don't think.
No, especially walking existing trails, getting them out there to the trails doesn't happen in like until April, yeah. I think we need to see if there's something else along those lines we can help with, but probably not. Let's talk about that for next year, see what we can come up with.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine.
Yep.
All
I
right.
like the idea that, I love that you're thinking about other ways we can have the students help out. So we'll just keep the,
All right, so we're gonna reduce the list.
right now, I have 6. Let me tell you what I have so far, some of which need more help. So I have the Earth Day Fair, the stewardship for the town, the nature backpack, something, I'm gonna let the play skates go for now, see if that comes up on Wednesday with Jen and Sabbath. Something from Groton 2035. Do we want to try to do something with waste?
The fast fashion, the waste ties in with the waste.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so
Oh, no.
all right, so so fast fashion goes with the Groton 20. Perfect. Okay. That's good. So fast fashion, and then something with trees. And invasive species
Invasive
matching.
species.
Is that 6 already?
Yep.
So, or 7. So do we want to try to do something with rain gardens or not?
They'll throw it in there.
Well, I think
Let
part of
them
this is
pick.
guiding them because we've done rain gardens.
Like,
before,
what do we need that they
Haven't-
could do that'd be
we've done
different?
rain gardens, The students haven't ever
But the,
managed it as a project as
Store
far as.
management, the trees.
He's not gonna
make
get a
us
rain
less-
garden installed or anything.
No.
I don't know what
No.
the product is.
But what would you need? Yeah, it'd be more background stuff. We have so much background stuff because we've already done it, right? So this is what, yes, it's for them. It's also what they can do to help us. I'm not sure that there's something they can do to help us.
that's not,
Right.
yeah,
In
that's, I
that-
would kind of,
Yeah. Okay.
that's it.
All right. So I like where we are with this. Tabitha, do you have any other input or feedback?
No, I'm just grateful to be included. Thank you very much. And
You're welcome.
looking forward to results. So
Awesome. And so I will update this list and send it out to
And then
Dave
then
to send to the
you'll
team.
have a college confab.
A confab.
Hey, I gotta come up with a C. So in January,
Yeah, so we'll find out what Jen talks to Sabbath about, see if they,
so do you need a special meeting in January?
no, I don't think
Because then
so.
we won't be, because it won't be before our January meeting.
When do we meet in January?
Well, it's like the January
January
4th.
5th.
They, yeah, the students we don't meet with the students till February,
No, I'm just saying from our meeting,
right?
that you'll have it in January, which means we won't get together as a team till February meeting to see what you've come up with.
No, I want people that are gonna give stuff to me need to give it to me in the next couple of
Understand?
weeks.
And then-
After,
And then in,
Ask Dave to send it out to us.
right,
Yeah.
and then in January, we'll nail it down.
and then we'll see what the student, we need feedback from
He said
Scott
that
Collins.
ahead of time, but-
Well, yeah, but we don't get that till February.
Right, that's all I'm saying.
Okay,
But
I'm missing why you think we need a special meeting.
I,
Just like, what is, I
to
don't,
review what we get back from the students, but that won't be until February.
right.
And so we might, now it'll be February versus March, we might have to have one rather than waiting till March now. I'm just,
Michelle and Jen.
I'm going to ask that people trust me and Giselle and Kristen
Yep.
and Ann and where basically,
It's a college baby, not a.
yeah, basically and Jen, right? So we'll have the list and whoever wants to meet, and I'll find out in January who wants to meet with Jen and the students. And we'll nail down with the students what they're gonna do. Like once the students choose stuff, we've got nothing else to say about that.
Okay.
Okay, maybe I'm not understanding you, Larry. What do you think you're gonna need for the
Well,
commission to do?
part of this is that each one of these gets a sponsor
Mhm.
to work with. We've got to make sure that's aligned, right?
I think we could trust Michelle and Jen to
Okay.
manage it.
And people, I mean, if you give me a project
So,
with your name on
there.
it, guess what? You're the POC.
The only thing I would say about that,
Yes.
you can do a subcommittee for this, and I'm totally fine with it. I think that's the best way. I don't think we need a special meeting for that. I think we'll do the special meeting when they actually present their
Right.
projects like
Presenting.
normal. But remember, only 3 of you can be in the subcommittee. or makes it a meeting. So whoever
Right,
the
so,
three are.
in January, based on the
Uh,
projects that we've chosen, we'll decide what 3 people want to go meet with the students.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
So the 4 of you can't meet.
Right.
Like, that's a meeting.
No, but
How dare
can
we.
4 of us go to Con College and meet with them?
That's a college meeting, but I
Yeah,
also
but-
make it easy. I'm gonna be out of town for the whole month of January and
Oh,
February.
all right, never mind.
Okay?
See, let's.
Okay. And any other concerns or issues that anybody has about this?
No, it's all yours.
Thank you.
So I'm
We have
happy to
faith in
send this
you.
out ahead of time to them, or I'm
Yeah.
happy just to put it as part of the agenda packet, whatever you think. Because they're gonna have time, the reality is that will probably go out. The first second, it's probably gonna go out much, like similar to this one, when I'm much earlier, it's probably gonna go much earlier just because of the
Okay.
holidays. And actually,
End of
I
December.
might even have to go, I might need everything from you all, even a lot more, because I'm gonna be gone.
All right, so when do you think you're gonna need it? Because I gotta make sure I get it from everybody else before that.
I will need it by the 20,
January.
no.
December.
For the December meeting?
Okay.
Before the holidays.
For the holidays.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, before the holiday.
Okay, so,
Actually, ideally, if you can get it to me by the 23rd.
How about by Friday, this Friday?
well,
Let's get it done.
get stuff to me by this Friday.
Yes, I'll get.
Get stuff to me by this Friday, and then I'll put it together and get it to Dave by the following Friday or so, and that gives you like a whole week or whatever.
Yep, perfect.
Okay,
Okay.
all right,
For everyone, I just want to give everyone that kind of heads up, so I can
Yep.
get that going.
Oh, by the.
Great.
All right.
I'll be-
All right. Okay.
thank you.
Open space stewardship, we've discussed it. The only thing I would add is that I still have gotten 0 RTM members to be sponsor any of the open space in the districts that they claim doesn't have it enough and they're so concerned about it. So just to get it on the record that I'm disappointed again,
But not surprised.
but not surprised. Although we do have new RTM members.
They haven't been, no.
Yeah, okay, I'll wait. I guess I'll do it again.
That's right.
Yeah, I could do it again. All right. Outreach, all right, tree advisory board. Now, there's been a delay for Jeff, the tree warden, to show up. My suggestion, given the hour, is that, and there's a little cleanup that I'll work with Giselle on, so that we have a little cleaner
So he is coming
document.
in January.
I gotta talk to him about it.
Okay.
So I wasn't gonna do it till after this meeting, because I was gonna do it after we left.
Okay.
All right,
I'm just,
so I'll
okay.
I guess you arrange the meeting because you're the one with the schedule limitations on when
you.
you'd like to meet. It shouldn't take more than a half an hour. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so we'll clean that up. We'll get that out. That'll be the basis into Jeff and also into Tabitha, because there's a lot of Tabitha stuff kind of sort of in there.
Well, it's kind of, yeah, and Mark,
And Mark, I'm sorry, and Mark. Yes, and Mark.
'cause he's really the one that, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Both of them.
And then we still have page 105, like the letter. This,
Did we? I thought that was, she said she sent it out.
So I
Oh.
sent out, not this one that he sent, I sent out the one that I had just to CT Deep. Cause I wanted to talk with you about the state representative. I'm definitely okay with doing that. I don't know who to send it to.
well, no, that's gotta have the address, the names. right
Did you
there.
already send this letter that's in
I
here?
sent it to Deep. I
Okay,
didn't send it to a state
Yeah,
representative.
I mean, I reviewed it, Tom reviewed it, Giselle reviewed it.
I have one, so in the very first paragraph, Conservation Commission should not be plural.
I'm still trying to scroll down to get to it.
I'm trying to find it.
Oh, there's an extra S in there.
Yeah, you have Conservation Commissions.
Hold on. I'm coming.
And the CC secretary strikes again.
This is the letter to the state reps, not to the deep, because the deep one went out.
Yes. But to the reps and the.
Very minor issue, but as long as you see it, may as well fix it, right?
Okay,
Okay,
all right.
Is the address?
This will
for
get sent
representative?
out sometime this week.
45 Fort Hill
Yeah.
Road. Oh, no,
But-
Okay, we're
Hold on,
here.
Larry, don't
we're
you
at
need to
lunch
sign
break,
this also?
okay. I guess.
So,
Yeah.
Yes.
You could,
just send.
you could sign it,
I mean, I can sign. Okay, okay. Okay,
representing the commission.
okay.
Ms. Tree
Advisor.
Advisory
Thank you.
person.
Okay.
We need a title. Come up with a title for yourself.
I'm good with board member.
Okay. Tree Advisory Board.
Okay,
That actually is the.
okay.
board.
like that.
Yes, okay.
And you know how to get their emails, right? Or do you have them? So they're
I
on
was
the-
actually gonna reach out to you.
Okay,
You
yeah.
can go to
I-
the ct.gov, can't
It's,
you?
I had to
it's right
hunt
on the state
for
website,
more-
but I'll send them to you.
All the people you told me to CC, I was like, oh, wait.
You go to
Yeah.
ct.gov, that's just the government page, they should be easily accessible there.
Okay. I'll still reach out to you.
Mhm.
Thank you, darling.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
that will be in sent this week.
okay. Staff,
I don't have anything today.
Woohoo!
really?
Yep.
All right.
I move we adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Without objection? We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Right.
I'm excited about these projects.